A property condition report is a very in-depth report your property manager completes prior to your tenants moving into their new home. Now, good property managers will normally take around 400 to 600 photos depending on the size of your investment property, and there is a written component of this ingoing inspection report. So that itself is very important as it adds a lot of extra detail which may not be immediately apparent just by photos alone. This allows the property manager to add details like the walls have been freshly painted, or if there are marks which are difficult to see in photos, you can then obviously have those included as part of that written documentation. Now, at the end of the tenancy, this report is what your property manager will use to review, and they'll compare the condition of the property from when you've had tenants move in to when your tenants vacate the property, and this will be essentially the baseline for what condition should be expected. Now, it's very important because of this that the report is very thorough, because if there are any issues at the end of the tenancy, the ingoing inspection report will be used to substantiate the claim against the bond along with the outgoing inspection report as evidence. Now, if the bond is exceeded, often the insurance company will also require a copy of the ingoing and outgoing inspection sheets along with any photos as part of their requirements. It's also very important to note that many property management agencies will try to assert that if a property inspection report isn't returned within 14 days, their report will be deemed as true and the baseline at the end of the tenancy. But honestly, this is really just not the case. So what is important for tenants to understand is that it's best practice to return the ingoing inspection sheet within a reasonable time. I would suggest that this is typically 1 to 2 weeks normally. If they have returned the inspection sheet after this time, then most tribunal members, if you had a dispute, will rule that the copy which has additional details will hold some weight. Now, how much time has passed will vary how much weight is given. What this means is, well, good agents will still have a process to deal with any differences of opinion at the time they're presented with an inspection report with any areas that the tenant disagrees with. In truth, if the agent ignores a tenant coming back, 3 weeks, 4 weeks after with an inspection sheet, they could actually be just simply by default agreeing with the changes that the tenant has made. Now, if your tenant hands back the ingoing inspection report 6 months later, well, realistically, the damages that haven't been noted by your property manager, they're much more likely that they've been caused by the tenant, and much more likely this is going to be disputed. But again, great property managers should approach this situation with what happens if we go to tribunal in mind and have an effective process for when these variances happen. Okay, so well, there you have it. That's what an ingoing inspection sheet is and why it's so important. I'm Ricky from Real People Real Estate. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and check out our podcasts available on iTunes as well.